Ambassador Veena Sikri, ma'am, I'll begin with you. Well, like I said, the Americans have said a lot. They've done little. Will they do something as a few days come close where the 50% tariff will be applicable? We really don't know. Donald Trump has said a lot of things in the past and he's taken them back or he's completely forgotten about them. But the fact of the matter is that there is an impetus, ma'am, which has been infused into the Indian mentality that we cannot look at America all the time. There are other countries that India can do trade with. There are other countries India can help grow and they can help India grow as well. I'll say this again, and I've said this in the past, there is no complicated way of saying this, ma'am, but to me, this seems like a blessing in disguise.
Well, I think it certainly has been a tremendous eye-opener. And it is remarkable that despite all the barbs and taunts that President Trump has been hurling at India, our response has been one of complete strategic restraint. We have not reacted sharply or adversely to anything, but we have said that we are continuing the negotiations. I think the red lines which were spelled out by External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar yesterday in his speech, these are the most significant ones. And he said these are the three red lines that we will not be able to cross under any circumstances. One of these is, of course, the first one is on the trade talks, when he spoke about the interests about the farmers and the dairy producers and the agriculture sector and also the small, micro and small entrepreneurs. The second red line he spoke about is the purchase of Russian oil, and that we are going to continue to do this because it's in our interest. In fact, it was America which set us on this path last year, and we are going to continue with this. There is no doubt about that. And the third line that he drew was that we will not accept any third-party mediation on India-Pakistan affairs. And I think that these three red lines correctly sum up India's response. And I think that India, because of its response, and simultaneously we are continuing our talks with all other countries. I think the India-UK FTA is a very, very smart response to this, because it shows that both UK and India are interested in continuing building up on their bilateral trade relations. And we know that there's a very substantial increase in bilateral trade forecast for the next 5 years. So that will more than take up the slack if there's going to be any slack in the trade with the USA. And similarly with Russia, we've had very good talks. Like External Affairs Minister was there, our National Security Advisor was there. We are expecting President Putin to come to India very soon. And similarly with China as well, we've had the visit of Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Now our Prime Minister is going to be visiting Tianjin for the SCO summit, and our Prime Minister is also visiting Japan. So that is going to be a very important set of discussions that our Prime Minister is going to have. On each of these, we've seen that there's a lot of give and take building up. For example, during Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit, he announced that he's going to resume the supply of rare earths to India. He's going to resume the supply of tunnel boring machines, which had become an impediment, which is very important for our infrastructure development. And he's also going to resume the supply of fertilizers. So I think that all in all, India has responded very well. And I think that this has probably surprised a lot of people, because they expected that India would crumble under the pressure, but we have held our own. And of course, recently, as we know, yesterday, the name of a new ambassador for India has been announced by President Trump, Sergio Gore. And there again, the additional title being given to him of, the Special Envoy for South Asia and Central Asian Affairs. But there again, we've said the third red line in Dr. Jaishankar's list, that we will not accept third-party mediation between India and Pakistan. So it's very clear that we have already stated that. So in case this designation of special envoy, in addition to being ambassador to India, has any shades of expectation that Sergio Gore will be doing a kind of a shuttle between different countries and so on, we have said it very clearly that we're not going to accept it. And we know that we already had this experience of Richard Holbrooke under Barack Obama's time. He was the one who was, the Americans tried to foist him on us as a special envoy and special negotiator, but we said, no, nothing doing, we're not going to accept it. And ultimately, he was designated special envoy for Afghanistan and Pakistan. Of course, he kept coming to India very often. That's quite okay. But this aspect of third-party mediation is a complete red line for India. So I think what you said is absolutely right. We have responded very well. We've been very calm, and I think this is going to help us in the long run. What you said, the silver lining is that we have realized that you cannot depend on any one country or group for trade. And the other reason is with America, he's only looking at trade. What about trade in? What about services? We have a huge amount of services. What about the Indian companies who have already invested in the USA? I think it's wrong to accept these very unrealistic investment 500 billion, 600 billion from the EU and others. We know these will never materialize. So rather than that, we have been very realistic and grounded and very carefully said that we're going to strengthen our economic reforms. Prime Minister had a meeting on this. That's the way to
Fair enough, ma'am.